Devising.
Great morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I am Jeanette Mejias, Program Director of Family Engagement Programs at SPAN and Co-Director of the State Family Engagement Center, the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub. I'm so glad you're spending part of your morning with us. As you make your way in, please take a moment to answer our icebreaker question in the chat. We love starting with your voices and your experiences. In today's session, we'll help you explore your child's academic journey from kindergarten through high school, help you understand New Jersey's curriculum goals, the New Jersey student learning standards, and the different types of academic assessments students encounter. You'll also learn how to interpret progress reports and test scores and discover practical and meaningful ways to support your child's learning at home. But before we begin, a quick reminder that today's webinar is being recorded, and throughout the presentation, we ask that you use your reaction buttons to let our presenters know when something resonates with you. Your engagement will certainly help us guide that conversation. We're excited you're here, and now I'd like to turn it over to my counterpart, Lanisha, for team introductions.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. My name is Dr. Lanisha Mako Ridley. I am the other half of Jeanette. I am the co-project director along with her. As I said in the chat, my favorite subject when I was growing up was language arts because I love, love, love to read. And I have a 6-year-old son who is like a math person. So complete opposites. And now I'm going to turn it over to Kim.
Thank you, Lanisha. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim Rivers, and I am the training coordinator for our Family Engagement Hub. Growing up, I always loved reading as well, and then I really had a passion for theater arts, so I'm so excited that you're joining us today to learn more about our learning standards. And now I'm going to pass it over to Faith.
Thank you, Kim. Good morning, everyone. My name is Faith Victor. I'm the Northern Regional Family Engagement Specialist. Reading is fundamental growing up in my home. Summer reading, the Summer Reading Challenge was a serious thing. So thank you for joining us and passing it all over to Evan.
Thank you, Faith. Good morning, everyone. My name is Evan Hardy, and I am the Central Regional Family Engagement Specialist. Growing up, history was actually my favorite subject in school, so I really much enjoyed that. And now I'm going to pass it along to Alexis.
Thank you, Evan. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexis Pratt. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist for the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub, and my favorite subject in high school is also history. And I'm going to pass it to Stephanie for introductions.
Hi, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie Babbitts, and I am a family engagement coordinator on the hub as well. And I specifically work with parent groups as part of START on the hub, and I'm glad to be here today. And my favorite subject was Spanish. So much so that I actually double majored in Spanish in college as well. So I really enjoyed it from an early age. I'm going to pass it over to Kayari now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kayari Tyler, and I am the virtual learning support specialist. Um, my favorite subject growing up would probably be math. As far as with music, I have a 15-month-old son, and we're always going over, I guess, trying to learn the numbers and just trying to sing through it. And really excited for today's presentation. Now back over to Lanisha.
Thank you, Kiari. So today I want to talk a little bit about who and what the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub is. The Hub is a resource for everyone. We are funded with a grant from the U.S. Department of Education, and we are funded to be a place where families, educators, professionals, youth, community partners all work together to build and strengthen partnerships for family engagement. Our goal is to enhance the system and build some effective family engagement policies, programs, and activities that lead to improvements in student development and academic development. We do all of this by providing in-person workshops, our online webinar series, such as today's webinar. And we want to work with these partners so that they can build bridges and collaborations for the ultimate goal of enhancing the success of our students. And now I'll turn it over to Kim to talk a little bit more about SPAN.
Thank you, Lanisha. So SPAN Parent Advocacy Network, we are the parent center for the state of New Jersey. We're all about providing information, technical assistance, supports, and resources for families and anyone really who are involved with education or the healthy development of children to help enable our kids to become fully participating and contributing members of the community and society. We have over 45 programs, everything from mental health, juvenile justice, child welfare. We extend to over 40 national, regional, local, and we're funded by government agencies, foundations, and fee-for-service contracts. So I encourage you to check out our website at spanadvocacy.org and learn more about what we can do for you. So as we start today's webinar, we want to always remind you about why we are here. Family engagement. Because family engagement isn't just about fixing families, it's about building partnerships rooted in trust, respect, and shared purpose. And this is a quote from Dr. Karen Mapp, who is the godmother of family engagement. And really, a lot of her research is what we base our work upon. So let's get to it. We are going to explore today the academic roadmap that belongs to every student and family in New Jersey, the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, or as we'll refer to it as we go through the presentation as the NJSLS, or the standards. And this is the foundation for how education is shaped throughout our state. So this is not just a list of rules, it's the core of how learning is structured from kindergarten through graduation. So while the standards tell us what students should know by the end of the year, the curriculum is the specific plan, it's the lessons and the books that are used to get them there. So think of the standards as the destination and the curriculum as the vehicle that New Jersey school districts use to reach it. So we're going to go through what these standards are, why do they matter, and how they can be utilized for success. And of course, where can you find this information? On the State of New Jersey website. This is available. Just go to the nj.gov education/standards. Do a quick search if you like on Google, New Jersey Learning Standards/gov. And of course, don't feel you can read everything at once. You can look it up by your child's current grade level or by subject area. So how were the standards built? Well, they are built on a foundation of national research and brain science, because this ensures the roadmap is scientifically sound and prepares students to become competitive on the global level. And it is a collaborative blueprint, meaning that they represent a synthesis of different voices and input from teachers, college scholars, and most importantly, parents. It's a blueprint created by the community for the community. And the NJSLS draws on the best elements of New Jersey's long history, because what they took to work in high-performing districts and scaling those practices up so that every student has access to the same high-quality foundation. And it's refined. They're always checking it, rechecking it, doing like a stress test, because they create drafts and then they release it for public comment. This is to ensure that they are practical, that they are clear, and they are a reflection of the values of our families. And of course, this requires active support and engagement, because the work continues long after those standards are written. They provide the guidance, and the professional learning educators bring these standards to life. And what is the purpose of these standards? Well, they ensure there's a unified standard across the state. So regardless of what school district, they have the same level of expectations. It also is about mastering the why, because we're not just checking the boxes for basic literacy or math. The standards push students to understand the logic of a subject and allows them to apply what they learn to real-world scenarios. Because at the end of the day, it's about building our future-ready minds. Because this world we're in, where information is just a click away, the value actually lies in what you do with that information. So they prioritize the soft skills, critical thinking, and the creativity, of course, that employers look for in adults. And of course, it's about a whole 360 of education, not just about the 9 content areas, because it applies not just academics, but wellness, world languages, career readiness, and we will cover that a little later on, because this is about having a clear roadmap for progress and a clear roadmap for success. And now I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie to go into those 9 academic content areas.
Great. Thank you so much for that information, Kim. So let's take a look at this more closely. So first we have career readiness, life literacies, and key skills. This area focuses on the essential soft skills and practical knowledge required for the modern economy. The NJSLS here cover financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and career exploration, ensuring students understand the mechanics of the professional world. Comprehensive health and physical education. The standards in this domain promote health, literacy, and physical fitness. By addressing physical, mental, and emotional well-being, the NJSLS aims to develop healthy individuals capable of maintaining a lifestyle conducive to long-term success. Computer science and design thinking. This discipline moves beyond basic literacy to focus on computing systems, cybersecurity, and design engineering. The NJSLS prepares students to be creators and problem solvers in a digital world, rather than just passive users of technology. English Language Arts, or ELA. The ELA standards provide the foundation for communication, covering reading, writing, speaking, listening, and language. The NJSLS emphasizes the ability to analyze complex texts and communicate ideas clearly across various media. Mathematics. The mathematics standards focus on a balance of conceptual understanding and procedural fluency. The NJSLS helps students understand the why behind mathematical operations, enabling them to apply math to real-world problem solving. Science. It covers earth, life, and physical sciences. These standards are built on inquiry-based learning. The NJSLS encourages students to act as scientists, observing, questioning, and testing theories to understand the natural world. Social studies. This area includes history, civics, economics, and geography. The NJSLS aims to develop active, informed citizens who understand their place in history and their responsibility within a democratic society. Visual and performing arts. The arts standards cover dance, music, theater, and visual arts. The NJSLS ensure that creativity and aesthetic appreciation are viewed as core academic requirements, fostering both expression and innovation. And finally, world languages. The focus here is on communication and cultural understanding. The NJSLS prepares students for a globalized society by emphasizing the ability to interact with and understand people from diverse linguistic and cultural backgrounds. So let's take a look at this in action, NJSLS in action, with some academic examples. So first, let's look at an ELA example. We look at 4th grade reading standard. The official code is RL.4.1. It sounds formal, but the I can statement for a student is, I can find proof in the story to explain what is happening. This moves the student from just guessing to becoming a reading detective who looks for evidence. Math, let's do an example. In 6th grade, we see ratios. The standard says, use ratio language. In the classroom, the I can statement is, I can use numbers to compare two things, like saying, for every 2 red marbles, there are 3 blue ones. It turns an abstract math concept into a way to describe the world. And finally, a science example. For middle school science, the standard asks students to analyze data. The student-friendly goal is, I can look at a chart and explain why a plant or animal might struggle if it doesn't have enough water or food. This fulfills the NJAC requirement for critical thinking and problem solving. So it's about moving from regulation to real life. The NJSLS is designed to develop a human being, not just a test taker. It goes beyond academic subjects. It's about educating the whole child. It bridges the gap between academic mastery and the emotional and physical well-being required to use that knowledge in the real world. So the emotional foundation. We just looked at the 9 academic content areas, so the what of the roadmap. But to succeed in those areas, a student needs a strong emotional foundation. This is where social emotional learning, or SEL, comes in. These aren't soft skills. They are the operating system for the brain. If a student hasn't mastered self-regulation, they won't be able to stay focused during a complex math or science lesson. We prioritize the heart so the mind can actually do the work. Physical and mental health. Think of the academic subjects as the software and a student's health as the hardware. New Jersey's standards recognize that physical and mental well-being are prerequisites for learning. You cannot master a world language or complex technology if you're struggling with stress or poor health. By developing healthy habits now, we ensure the hardware is strong enough to sustain long-term learning and growth throughout their entire lives. Real-world readiness. Book learning is only half the battle. The other half is knowing how to use that knowledge once you leave the classroom, or as we like to call it, being street smart, right? This is why our roadmap includes life literacies and career skills. We are equipping students with the independence they need to navigate adulthood. Things like financial literacy, digital citizenship, and critical thinking. We want our students to graduate not just with a diploma, but with a practical plan for their future. The synergy. The most important takeaway here is the synergy. These are two sides. You have your academic and whole child. They are not competing for time. They are working together. Research proves that when a student is healthy, self-aware, and feels supported, their academic achievement in those 9 core subjects actually goes up. We aren't choosing well-being over academics. We are choosing both because that is the only way to ensure a student is truly ready for a rapidly changing world. Integrated learning. In New Jersey, we don't believe in silos. We don't teach math for an hour and then health for an hour and keep them separate. A great curriculum integrates these. A student might practice teamwork, which is an SEL skill, during a science lab, or critical thinking, which is a career skill, while analyzing a historical text. This integrated approach is what makes the learning stick and ensures our kids are well-rounded human beings. So NJSLS in action, the whole child and SEL. Let's talk about self-awareness. This is a core social emotional learning or SEL standard. In plain language, we tell students, I can identify how I am feeling and how that feeling might change the way I act. This is the foundation of self-regulation. If a student can't do this, they will struggle to meet any academic math or science standard. Collaboration and teamwork. This is part of the 21st Century Life and Career Standards, which is Standard 9.4. The goal here is I can work in a group and listen to ideas from people who think differently than I do. This is exactly the work in an economy driven by innovation that the NJAC code mentions. It's about making teamwork as a life skill. Responsible decision making. Here, the expectation is for students to reflect. The I can statement is, I can stop and think about how my mood affects my choices. It's about looking at the big picture. These examples show that the standards are a social roadmap too. We are setting clear expectations that being a successful student in New Jersey means being a good collaborator and a self-aware individual. This is what we mean by whole child education. So how are standards built? Well, first, they're organized by subject and grade level. The standards are structured like a staircase, okay? So every subject, whether it's math, ELA, or science, is broken down by grade level. This allows you to see how a skill starts simply in kindergarten and builds in complexity every year. If you look at that staircase, you can see exactly where your child is currently standing and what the next step up looks like for next year. Focus on the skill, not the code. When you look at the curriculum document, you're going to see a lot of alphabet soup, like RL.3.1 or P-5-PS1-1, even I get confused. These codes are just filing numbers for teachers and the state. Don't let them distract you. The value is in the sentence that follows the code. That sentence is the promise of what your child is learning. Skip the numbers and go straight to the words. Find the main action or the verb. So if you want to know the difficulty level of a lesson, look for the verb. Is your child being asked to identify a shape, which is a basic one, or analyze a geometric pattern, which can be more advanced? Is the standard asking them to explain or create? The verb tells you the level of thinking required. When you know the verb, you know exactly what muscle your child is flexing that day. And you want to ask, what should a student be able to do? This is the most powerful question you can ask during a parent-teacher conference. Standards can sometimes sound a bit abstract. By asking this question, you're asking the teacher to translate that state mandate into a human action. It turns a sentence on a website into a clear expectation you can observe at home. Picture the skill in real life. Let's make it real. If a standard says interpreting data from a chart, don't just picture a worksheet. Picture your child looking at a weather app and telling you if they need a jacket, or checking a sports box score to see who won the game. When you can visualize the skill in a real life setting, the standards stop feeling like schoolwork and start feeling like the life skills that they actually are. And let's talk about simplifying the standards. Simplifying the NJSLS is the key to moving from academic jargon to meaningful action. By stripping away technical language, families can more easily identify the heart of each lesson and connect it to daily life. So first, drop the jargon. Educational documents often use terms like multi-syllabic decoding. That can feel gatekept, right? Stripping back this phrasing reveals that the child is simply sounding out long words. Dropping the jargon ensures that every family can participate in the learning process without needing a degree in education. Find the core skill. Every standard is built on a fundamental skill. For example, evaluating the validity of reasoning is just really asking, does this argument make sense? Identifying the core intent makes the academic roadmap much easier to navigate. Use everyday context. The standards become more effective when brought into daily routines. Instead of practicing informational text comprehension, pair my reader weather report with a child to decide what to wear. This turns standards into tools for personal success. Bridging the gap. Simplification is how the tenets of family engagement are implemented. Translating the NJSLS ensures that all parents can sit at the table as equal partners. It takes insider information and turns it into community knowledge. And the so what factor. The focus should always remain on the real world application. A standard about identifying patterns in data is actually about helping a child manage future finances or time. Simplifying the standards clarifies their purpose, preparing critical thinkers for a global world. And now back to Kim.
Thank you, Stephanie. So let's talk about gifted and talented, because that is something that a lot of families call SPAN about. And in New Jersey, every school district is required to develop policy and have a gifted and talented plan written in for all of their students. Because gifted and talented students aren't just learning different things, they are mastering the same NJSAL standards at a deeper, more complex, or a faster pace. So that means it's the same roadmap. It's just higher rigor. So the difference is maybe it's a higher bar. And the districts have to ensure that these students demonstrate the standards at their actual instructional level, meaning that they're adding layers of complexity to challenge their specific abilities. And then instructional adaptations, which means that it's not just one size fits all. They use enrichment, acceleration, or advanced projects to modify the program so that students can achieve in accordance with their own individual capabilities. And then deeper and faster. So these are the two main ways that they adapt standards for gifted and talented education. Depth involves analyzing the why behind a concept. For example, the socioeconomic impact of a policy. And then the pace or the acceleration involves curriculum compacting, where a student who proves mastery via pre-tests can then move on to more advanced areas immediately. And we want to move past just extra work, because gifted and talented should never be more of the same thing. It's not giving 10 extra math problems. That's just busy work. True programming replaces mastered content with deeper work that pushes for novelty and divergent thinking within the same framework of those standards. And so your agency can grow when you use the language of the NJSLS and do advocacy through those standards. So Instead of asking if your child is bored, ask, well, since my child seems to have mastered basic analysis, how are they being challenged to evaluate more complex or conflicting viewpoints? This can show that you have understood that roadmap and that you're asking that a higher bar be required for your child. Now let's talk about special education and the curriculum. Because for students with disabilities, the Individualized Education Program, which is the IEP, isn't a different roadmap. It is actually the specialized vehicle that helps those students travel the same road as their peers. Because the goal remains the same. Special education does not mean easier standards because every student has the right to a high quality instruction. They start with the assumption that students with disabilities will work towards the same standards as their peers. So it doesn't change the destination, it just adjusts the way in which they get there. Because the IEP is a personalized bridge. One side is where the student is currently performing, and the other is that grade level standard. And they design goals and supports to help that student cross that bridge and ensure that that roadmap is tailored to their unique profile. And now let's talk a bit about accommodations versus modifications, because they can support access in two ways. Accommodations are like ramps. They can change how a student learns. For example, having extra time without changing that standard. Modifications change what is being learned, like adjusting the reading levels to keep that student connected to that grade level theme, but at their individualized instructional level. Because in New Jersey, they're always presuming competence. And that means everyone has the right to access that education. It's about more than being in that room. It's about ensuring that students with disabilities have access to the same high-level verbs and critical thinking as every other student. And the ramps to learning are in your child's IEP. So, for example, if the standard is writing a narrative, but that student has a fine motor delay, their ramp might be a talk-to-text software. They're still meeting the standard of writing, and they're organizing their thoughts, and they're telling a story, but they're just using a different tool towards success. Now, though NJSLAS are the foundation for every student, whether they are in a traditional classroom, a high-tech lab, or a professional kitchen, in New Jersey there are some alternative pathways, and it does not mean lower standards, it just means a different, maybe hands-on way to master the same high-level skills. So let's look at some examples of these. Applied Academics, or CTE, that stands for Career and Technical Education. That's often in high school, and that's high tech and high rigor. Students can master through an application like learning geometry while framing a house, or chemistry while in a culinary kitchen. They meet the what of the standards through a practical, hands-on how. Dual enrollment. This is a powerful bridge to adulthood. Through college partnerships, students can earn high school and college credits at the same time. And they can use this pathway to prove their mastery of the standards while also getting a head start on a degree which can save both time and money. The Head Start advantage, and these routes can offer a competitive edge. Many lead to industry certifications in fields like cybersecurity or healthcare. And this is where students aren't just meeting the standards, they are proving their skills in a real economy and achieving that real world readiness. And then unified rigor. So having a different path never means a lower bar. Whether it's AP Calculus or automotive tech, the standards require the same level of problem solving. Troubleshooting an engine uses the same analysis skills as writing a literary critique. They maintain high expectations for every student. And of course, personalized success. So the New Jersey Roadmap recognizes that every child is an individual. Some thrive in lectures, others thrive by building or creating. So by offering these pathways, they ensure that the NJSLS are accessible to everyone without ever compromising on educational quality. And now I'm going to pass it over to Faith.
Thank you, Kim. As we continue down this academic roadmap, educators, the instructional architects, design a consistent, research-based path for every student's mastery. For teachers, the standards are the North Star. They use these goals as a blueprint to design every unit and lesson. By following the blueprint for instruction, educators ensure that no matter which classroom a student is in, they're getting the high-quality, grade-level instruction they're entitled to under state law. It takes the guesswork out of teaching and ensures everyone is moving toward the same destination. Bridge learning gaps. Education is a relay race. Educators use the standards to talk to the teachers in the grades above and below them. A third grade teacher looks at the fourth grade standards to make sure their students are ready for the handoff. This collaboration is vital for preventing learning gaps where a student might miss a foundational brick in their academic building. Data-driven assessment. When an educator gives a quiz or project, they aren't just looking for a correct answer to assign a grade. They are looking for evidence that the student has mastered a specific NJSLS skill. This allows them to tell a parent, your child is great at identifying the main idea, but we need to work on the standard for supporting that idea with evidence. It makes feedback much more precise and helpful. Standard to student translation. One of the most important educators do is translate. They take the technical language of the state and turn it into I can statements. They make the 9 content areas visible and exciting for students by posting these goals on the board. They give students a clear mission for the day, which helps them stay focused and motivated. Transparent partnerships. Educators use the standards to build trust with you. By being transparent about what the milestones are for the year, they invite you into the process. They share the curriculum map so you can see what's coming next. This openness turns the classroom into a community space where teachers and families are working from the same playbook. Families, the empowered partners, turning transparency into targeted advocacy and home front support. Ask strategic questions. Standard 2 of family engagement is about effective communication. Instead of asking how my child is doing, ask, I see the 4th grade math standard focusing on fractions. Where is my child on that specific roadmap? This shifts the focus from a letter grade to actual skill growth. It shows a teacher you are a partner in the learning process. Use plain language guides. Official documents can be wordy. They provide simplified guides to help you apply the NJSLS at home. If a science standard is about patterns in nature, you can point out those while gardening or walking in the park. You aren't teaching school. You're just pointing out the roadmap in real life. Shape the future. This is where your agency matters. They refine the NJSLS through public feedback and need parent voices on committees. Your lived experience is a unique data point that scholars don't have. By speaking up, you ensure the standards remain inclusive for all families. Join the learning. Many schools host standard nights. Attending these helps you see exactly how teachers use technology or tools to meet 21st century goals. It takes the mystery out of the classroom and makes you more comfortable when your child asks for help at home. Targeted support. Knowing the curriculum is your secret weapon. When schoolwork gets tough, you can identify the specific skill being tested. This is especially helpful for tutoring. Instead of saying they need math help, you can say they need to master multi-digit division. This ensures support is efficient and aligned with the classroom. Students, the active navigators. Building agency and 21st century goals and skills by owning the why behind the work. Mission-driven learning. They want students to move from passive listeners to active drivers. When a student starts a lesson as I can statement, they understand the mission and it rewires their thinking and mindset. It stops being about doing what the teacher says and starts being about mastering a skill they actually need. This shift builds incredible focus. Subject track awareness. The NJSLS helps students see the big picture. As they move through school, they can see the track they are on. How a science standard on ecosystem today leads directly to environmental science elective later. This helps them make informed choices about their own path. Academic self-advocacy. When students know the standards, they gain a voice. Instead of saying, I don't get math, they can say, I understand this area, but I'm struggling with this particular area. This kind of self-advocacy is a skill that will serve them in college and every career that they have. Organizational agency. Knowing the curriculum allows students to manage their time better. If they know exactly which skills are being tested, they can focus study time on growth areas rather than just reviewing what they already know. It teaches them to be strategic learners who manage their own progress. Future-focused vision. The standards are designed for a rapidly changing world. When students see the life and career standards, they realize schools about digital citizenship, financial literacy, and global communication. It helps them see exactly how their schoolwork fits into the world they will eventually lead. And Dr. Anisha will continue us on with community.
Community, the extended support system. As I've said before, it takes a village, and our community is part of our village. They help us bridge the gap between the classroom standards and the real world application. So let's talk about strategic enrichment. Community organizations like libraries, YMCAs, and youth centers are our extended classrooms. When these groups know the NJSLS, they can design fun, hands-on activities that secretly reinforce what kids are learning in school. A summer camp can turn a nature hike into a science standard lesson without it feeling like it's more school. Multicultural navigation. CBOs are often the first stop for families, especially those that do not speak English as a first language. These organizations play a vital role in translating the standards and the NJAC codes into languages and concepts that make sense for their specific community. They ensure that every family has the keys to the roadmap. Advocacy and feedback. Community-based organizations have a seat at the table that individual families might not always have. They can gather feedback from hundreds of families and take that information to their boards of education or the New Jersey Department of Education. They act as a microphone for the community's needs, ensuring the standards are inclusive and reflective of the people that they serve. Real-world application. This is where the community really shines. Community-based organizations can bring in local business owners or professionals to show students how a standard like public speaking or data analysis is actually used in a real job right in their own town. It proves to students that what they are learning has a direct link to their future. Coordinating tutoring. Community-based organizations offer tutoring, and they do that by knowing the curriculum. This is a game changer. So instead of offering generic homework help, they are providing targeted support. They can look at the district's pacing guide and say, we know fifth graders are tackling decimals this month, so our tutoring sessions will focus on that specific standard. This coordinated effort ensures the student is supported at every angle. Your resource map, where you can go for support. Digital hubs. If you want to see the roadmap for yourself, your first stop is the Department of Education's Standards Portal. Simply search for the NJSLS on the state website. This is where the official check-ins and grade level indicators live for all 9 content areas. It is the raw data for your child's education. Having this open during a meeting with a teacher is like having the answer key to the academic expectations for this school year. At the local level, if you have a question about how these standards are being taught in your child's specific classroom, start locally. Every district has a director of curriculum or a supervisor for a specific subject area, such as math or ELA. You can also attend Board of Education meetings. Remember, under NJAC 6A:8 through 3:1, they are the ones legally responsible for the continuous improvement of what your child learns. They are your most direct line to change. State support. If you need deeper guidance on a specific subject, like how the new science standards work or what the 21st century career requirements are, you can simply reach out to the New Jersey Department of Education's Office of Standards. They have content area specialists for all 9 areas whose job it is to provide guidance not just to schools, but to the public. They are the experts behind the research-based foundation we discussed earlier. Family partners. You don't have to navigate this alone. Organizations like the New Jersey PTA or SPAN are your navigators. SPAN in particular is an invaluable resource if your child has an IEP or a 504 plan, as they help ensure that the standards remain accessible for every learner. These groups help translate complex regulations into plain language and provide workshops that help build your advocacy skills. Finally, public advocacy. If you feel the standards themselves need to change, you can contact the New Jersey Board of Education. They hold monthly meetings where the public can provide testimony. This is the highest level of agency to help shape the roadmap for the entire state. Whether you are praising a new standard or identifying a gap, your voice as a parent is a vital part of the successive drafts process that keeps New Jersey schools at the top. The power of partnership, agency, transparency, and family engagement. Everything we discussed today, the 9 content areas, the whole child approach, the IEP crosswalks, leads to one truth: the power of partnership. Family engagement is the why behind this entire roadmap. It isn't just about showing up for a bake sale or a back to school night. It's about agency. When you decide that these standards and understand these standards, you aren't just a guest in the school building. You aren't a guest in your child's classroom. You are a fully informed partner in your child's education. Knowledge is agency. We like to say knowledge is power. We want to know, and we want you to leave here knowing that you are empowered. Knowledge of the standards is the ultimate tool for advocacy. Whether your child is in special education, gifted and talented, or on an alternate pathway, the NJSLS is the common ground. This is where you and the school meet. It levels the playing field and ensures that your voice is heard and respected as an expert on your child and his or her education. Transparency in decision making. True engagement requires transparency. You have a legal and moral right to know exactly what is being taught in your child's classroom, and more importantly, why it's being taught. Today, we are pulling back the curriculum curtain. When you can see the standards for yourself, you can move from being a passive observer to a co-designer. You can sit at the table with teachers and administrators and make decisions based on data and clear expectations, not just guesswork. From observer to co-designer. By mastering the language of the NJSLS, you gain the keys to that partnership. You can ask the right questions. How does this lesson align with the state standard for critical thinking? Or what supports are in place to help my child reach this specific benchmark? This is how you move the needle. You are no longer just watching the roadmap. You are helping to navigate the vehicle. The shared goal. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want a child who is happy, healthy, and prepared for the world. When families and schools see and use the NJSLA as a shared roadmap, we create a united front. We ensure that the support for a child, both at home and at school, matches the challenges they will receive in the world. Thank you for taking the time to pick up these keys today. Your partnership is the most important ingredient in your child's success. It is now time to take a quick survey. We use these surveys as ways to improve on our delivery of valuable and engaging webinars. Please take the time, scan this QR code, and complete this short survey. Thank you for completing the survey, and I will now turn it over to Jeanette.
Thank you, Anisha. Thank you so much. So now I get to do the fun part, and I get to announce some exciting upcoming events that the Hub is hosting. So first, I want to draw your attention to our next event, which will be held on Tuesday, March 17th, and it's our financial series, literacy series, with our trusted partners at Mass Mutual, and it's from piggy banks to college funds, part 4. This one is really something you want to turn your ears on, especially for those parents that have children with learning differences or special needs. They're going to discuss special needs trust, and that will be held from 12 to 1 p.m. And that's part of our Lunch and Learn series that we offer. So that's coming up next week. And then we have our Math of Food Part 2. So we just launched this, it's a webinar in a lunch and learn format from 1 to 2 on March 18th, which will be next week. We just launched it last week. We had really strong attendance, so we hope that you join us so you can learn the cookie culture and nutrition and how you can take those moments to make cooking fun with your children and incorporate that in learning. And additionally, on the same day, on March 18th, from 3:30 to 4:30, we invite you to join us for Empowered Learners, Building Student Agency and Growth Mindset. This is a workshop series. It's offered through our partners, SEL4NJ. And for those of you who have attended these offerings, as you know, Erica Brenton is fantastic. So we hope you take that opportunity to register and join us. And then the following Wednesday, March 25th, Erica Brenton will be presenting on practical support for struggling learners, Part 1, Understanding the Why. And then lastly, on March 31st, our partners, Mass Mutual, will deliver the final installment for the Financial Literacy Series, from piggy banks to college funds, Part 5, and that's women's financial wellness, which is extremely timely given that it is Women's International Month in March. So we hope that you join us. And then I want to spend just a couple of minutes, not too long. I want to encourage you to join the Serving on Groups and Leading by Convening Summit. This is where I say you take your leadership to a different level, where you can deepen your facilitation skills and empower the voices of families and communities. We are hosting this next week, and it is a train-the-trainer model. It's a powerful learning experience designed to build capacity, connection, and confidence in those who want to lead, support, and collaborate across education and community systems. This will be in person, held at the Clifton Library, and it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Registration will be from 9 o'clock to 9:45 a.m. The summit is really more than a training, though. It's an opportunity to learn how to bring people together. And whether you're a parent leader, an educator, a community partner, an advocate, this model equips you with practical tools that you can take back to your teams and your organizations and your families. So if you're passionate about meaningful engagement, authentic collaboration, and leading with purpose, this is a space that you want to be involved in. We invite you to register. The link is going to be in the chat. Show up and be part of a movement that transforms the work together. And reserve your spot today. The spots are limited, so I encourage you to join us. And then lastly, please put a bookmark in your calendar and join us for our next webinar installment next month, which will be Tuesday, April 14th. And we will be presenting Problem Solvers Wanting: How to Grow Critical Thinkers at Home. So be sure to register and join us. And at this time, we want to thank you for joining us today. We appreciate the time that you took to be here and your willingness to learn, to engage, and to grow with us. Your participation and your presence is what makes these sessions very meaningful for us here at the Hub. So we hope that today's conversation gave you some clarity, perhaps some confidence, and practical tools to support you on your child's academic journey. Remember, you're not alone in this work. We are here to partner with you, we walk alongside you, and we continue building strong connections between families, schools, and communities. If you have any follow-up questions or need additional support, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will put a plug to please follow us and visit us in several of our platforms. First of all, you want to visit us on our website. We have a plethora of information and resources. Also, subscribe to our newsletter. We have so much going on, and we always have up-to-date information of what we're doing here in our work, and that would be the Engagement Exchange. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. The links are in the chat, and proudly, we have joined TikTok. So please follow NJFE Hub on TikTok as we continue to amplify youth and parent voices. Subscribe now, access that valuable resources, workshops, and strategies so we can build stronger family engagement. Thank you again for spending your time with us, and we look forward to seeing you the next time here at the Hub. Take care, everybody.